everyone. Welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today I'm sitting down with Josh Gad to talk about Frozen 2. In the sequel, Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven set out on a dangerous but remarkable journey where Elsa tests the true strength of her powers. Take a look.
Far away, as north as we can go, once stood an enchanted forest.
You've seen an enchanted forest?
Yes, it was a magical place, but something went wrong. Since then, no one can get in or out.
Wow, Papa, that was epic.
What would I do without you? You'll always have me.
Has Elsa seemed weird to you?
She seems like Elsa.
There's this voice.
Voice? What does that mean? Head for the cliffs!
I'm gonna blow! I got you!
The kingdom is not safe. Find who is calling to you. They may have answers.
I'm going with you.
Anna? No.
Excuse me, I climbed the North Mountain, survived a frozen heart, and saved you from my ex-boyfriend, so, you know, I'm coming.
That's normal.
Where are we?
How did you get in the forest?
The mist parted for us.
Impossible. Where did you learn magic?
Elsa, get out of there!
You can't just follow me into fire.
Then don't run into fire.
Magic is very alluring. Without you, she may lose herself to it.
Protect Arendelle at all costs.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything.
Quick question. Is the whole putting us in mortal danger gonna be a regular thing?
Put your hands together for Josh Gad.
Thank you.
Can you hit that scream? It's like a little high for me.
So, gotta warm
really
that,
up-
warm
it's
that
really
up.
up
It's
there.
really high in my register. I had a scream double. No. I wish I had a scream double.
So this film is huge. I think I read like one of the biggest global debuts ever for an animated film. All around the world, people went out this weekend and saw it. How does that feel? Because there's so much buildup, and you assume it's gonna be a hit, but you never know until you know, right?
Well, it's so different than the first film. 6 years ago when Frozen came out, there was no expectation. Nobody knew what it was going to be. Nobody knew how it was going to play. Somebody reminded me today, they didn't even promote the songs, the fact that it was a musical. So like when the movie came out and suddenly everybody knew Let It Go and were making their own versions of it, it was surreal. Now it's a complete opposite. Now there are all of these expectations and so much anticipation, and to see it so universally embraced on opening weekend was so thrilling for all of us, and we are so grateful to everybody who went, assuming some of you have seen it. There's a couple of nods. Some people just like, no, and I don't want to be embarrassed right now. But it is, it's great. Go see it this week.
I mean, it's such a good family movie. I went by myself. I was like the solo adult in the theater, and it wasn't creepy.
You were
know?
telling me people were singing the songs.
Yeah, so
already.
there was a little kid next to me who knew the words to Into the Unknown, and I think they released the...
You don't have to call me a little kid.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to call you out.
That's fair.
Yeah. But the kid knew the words already because they released, I think, the cast album like a few days prior.
I remember being a kid and they released the albums before the movie came out, and I learned the music to Lion King before I saw it in the theaters. And so like I just remember like singing Hakuna Matata as I was watching the movie for the first time. So I was one of those kids.
Yeah, and it's happening all over again, especially I guess Into the Unknown is the song of the movie, I guess. Like the
I'd like to think my song is the song of the movie.
We were going to get to that.
But I guess Into the Unknown is a good second. It is, Jonathan Groff and I were talking about the fact that like there was a full week when we first saw the movie where we were both waking up singing that song and even doing the like that whole thing before it. And so I want to blame Bobby and Kristen who wrote these music because they really are so unfair. They only know how to write earworms. You know, like Bobby wrote Book of Mormon too that I was in, and like he just constantly finds these numbers that are just so outrageously good.
And there's so, like you said, earworm. Like I can't even hit the notes that Idina hits in that
Yes,
song.
you can.
I don't
Let's
think
hear it.
most humans can.
Let's hear it.
Into the unknown.
No, you can't hit it.
Into the
I was wrong. I can barely hit it.
It's insane.
Yeah,
and then I hear
it's
all
high.
these little kids struggling, and I'm like, that's adorable. I love it so much. Let's talk about your song, When I'm Older, though, because I think it is, Olaf in this movie is going through some crisis, maybe. He's dealing with reality and growing up, and that song really sort of encompasses where he's at.
It's true. Olaf in the first movie is like a toddler, right? He's new to the world. He's full of naivete. In the sequel, he is more of a fully grown child. Yeah. And he's starting to ask these hard questions. He's almost having like an existential crisis of sorts. And it was really important that we found a different way into Olaf. So it's not just, you got to find a different way in for not only the comedy, but for the emotional arc. And I thought that they really did a brilliant job, especially Chris and Jen. But the song is so wonderful because When I'm Older is literally about the fact that there's chaos happening all around him in life. And he anticipates that it'll all make sense when he's older, but the audience is one step ahead and knows, oh, no, it's not going to get much easier. Or you're not going to understand much more than you do now. The world is going to be as crazy as it is now.
Specifically, the things they're dealing with are very just out of the ordinary, right?
Correct.
I heard Olaf's journey was sort of inspired by your own little girl kind of asking a question.
Well, loosely, when the movie was in pre-production, there was this moment where we were sitting at the dinner table with my daughter, Ava, who at the time was 5. And she's laughing and she's having like a great time. And she looks at my wife and I and suddenly starts crying. We're like, baby, what's wrong? And she looked at us and she goes, what if I don't want to grow up? What if I don't want to be a grown-up? And that was so, of course, I was like, babe, you have so much time. I love you so much. But I think we all have that moment when we're kids and it's so traumatic that we just put it out of sight, out of mind. And I really wanted that for Olaf. Like I wanted him to start questioning things. Because, in the first movie, he was so naive that he wanted to embrace a season that would kill him. And now, he's learning a little bit more about the world.
Yeah. Have your girls seen the film?
Twice.
Twice? Did they get an advance copy?
Well, they don't send us copies.
Okay.
I just took them to a movie theater.
Okay.
I
don't know. You're in the movie. I thought you might get a screener.
It's a big screen with an audience, and we all sit there. No, they haven't given me a copy of it. But shame on you, Disney. I want my copy of Frozen 2 now.
I feel like if anybody should get a screener, it's you.
Yeah, right. You're right. No, that we took him to see it twice before the movie even came out, and I had to give him that little guys. Do you know what spoilers are? Okay, yeah. If you talk about this movie at school, Daddy's gonna have to take certain things away, like food. And Daddy doesn't want to do that. So those Disney non-disclosure agreements are pretty tight. So it was so wonderful because they embraced it so fully when they saw it, to the point that they both looked at me and said, I think I like it even more than the first one. And I was like, what the hell was wrong with the first one? Why are you so down on the first film? Yeah, let's talk it through.
This one does expand on the world so beautifully, though. I love that because we know these characters now. It just is so big and really epic. It really is a whole different movie and experience.
Completely.
What was your reaction the first time you saw it? Because you're in a booth recording by yourself, right? Most of the time.
I didn't know the story really. When I saw the movie for the first time, you go in the studio and you record all of these things out of context. So you're never with your co-stars. I've never once recorded with Jonathan, Idina, Kristen, anybody. And so you really don't have much of a context for what's going on. And for me, the joy of Olaf is I get to play so much in the booth. So in the first film, I remember doing this thing in the booth where I said, oh, look, I've been impaled, as a joke. And then the next thing I knew, I watched the movie and they spent millions of dollars animating that and having Olaf impaled. So I was like, oh, there's a sequel coming up? I'm gonna get away with murder. And so I just literally started improvising all of these insane things, daring them to put them in the movie, and they put them in the movie.
What's one thing we can look for that you improvised?
Samantha.
Okay.
So the whole Samantha sequence was literally in the script. It said, Olaf is frantically looking for Anna and Elsa in the woods. And I was like, can I just do something like really weird? And they're like, why are you even asking us? You always do it anyway. And so I just started rambling on about just a random character named Samantha, who is not in the movie. And I was like, they're never going to keep it in. They kept it in. They kept it in
And it
doubled
got a
down.
big laugh.
Yeah.
It's a big laugh.
It's crazy. And then that whole sequence where Olaf is recapping the first Frozen film, sorry, spoiler alert, that was something that they came up with about, I want to say like close to 4 months before the movie came out. So it was really late in the process. And they just let me loose. They let me just play. And so much of that was just the freedom that they gave me in the booth to just explore.
You said 4 months is sort of close. How soon did you guys start filming for this one, or I guess voice recording for this one after the first one?
Well, this movie took about 3 years from start to finish.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, it's a lot of time, but when you see how gorgeous this movie is and how just impressive, let's do a wide shot. That's right, because I'm pointing to a poster. Sorry about that. It is really amazing. I mean, the animators are always the best at what they do, but they took this one to a whole new level. I mean, it's incredible.
It's super epic. And also the themes that we explore in this one get a little more in depth. I know a lot of people are shipping Elsa and Honeymaren. Have you seen that at all?
No.
Oh yeah, there's like already people shipping that relationship, which Disney didn't really lean into that storyline at all. But I think they left a little nugget there that people are.
Well, it's not. It was never. The sequel was never meant to be an exploration of outer love necessarily for Elsa. Mm-hmm. It was really about self-love. It was about like finding out who she is. Because in the first movie, she's so conflicted. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know where she belongs. And the second movie was really about her finally coming to peace with herself. So I'm so glad that they're shipping her with Honeymaren now. But I think everybody takes something else away from it, which is wonderful.
Absolutely, and I think coming up to Thanksgiving, not to get too serious about the plot of Frozen 2, but it does deal with our treatment of the indigenous community as well, and I feel like the timing of this coming out, and it's going to be, I think, a interesting conversation for parents to have with their kids.
Such an important conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite movies of the past decade was Zootopia, which I thought like dealt with issues that we never really talked to kids about in such a profound way. Just in terms of like bigotry, in terms of like, our relationship with the other. And the fact that Disney tackles these themes without hitting the audience on the head, but allows for discourse so that you can go and talk to your kids about it, I think is so wonderful. And I thought that was such a profound, amazing theme to explore in this. And Into the Unknown is so much about stepping into the future and embracing your future, but it's really also about coming to peace with your past and the past mistakes and the sins of those who've come before you.
Yeah, and just that idea of it's okay to question history sometimes, or to go back and make sure you're looking at both perspectives. I mean, that's really profound stuff to put in a children's movie, which Disney, as you said, just always like manages to do it. Are those conversations that you guys had as well, or is it just?
No, by the way, I love the cowbell in the background.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Giving me life right there. I think that there were so many elements that the creative team knew they wanted to tackle. There were so many questions that arose out of the first film, and they took such an inside-out approach. They actually went to meet with a psychologist and had a bunch of questions from the perspective of Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf, that they basically asked these questions. What they learned about Olaf was that he's psychotic. Literally, the questionnaire came back that character's a psychopath. It was like, thank you so much. My work here is done. But it was so wonderful because it gave them a place, an emotional place to really jump off from for each of the characters.
Yeah. I know you're working on another animated series, right?
I am. I have a series coming out next year for Apple Plus that is called Central Park. That's co-created by Lauren Bouchard, who created Bob's Burgers. It's, I think, the musical event of next year. Every episode is going to have like 4 songs in it. It's Kristen Bell, who clearly I really like working with, Daveed Diggs, Leslie Odom Jr., Catherine Hahn, Stanley Tucci, Titus Burgess. It's off the charts, phenomenal. So can't wait to share that with the world.
That sounds insane. That's
It's
like
insane.
theater legends.
It's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
When can we expect this? I'm very excited.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Hopefully information will be coming shortly.
I'm curious. So you have Apple Plus, you've got some Disney Plus. Do you get free subscriptions or do they make you pay for that?
I pay for all of it.
Come on. You can't get screeners, you can't get
I
subscriptions.
know. What's going on?
What is the...
I got to get my agent on the phone after this. No, I pay like everybody else.
All right. What do you love about doing this voiceover work and doing these animated things? Because you seem to have found a real home doing it.
Well, you know, here's what I enjoy. I enjoy that I get to share these things with my kids. I have 2 little girls who get such joy out of experiencing this stuff. I still do stuff for me, you know, like I never took my kids to Book of Mormon. I'm not taking my kids to my new movie Little Monsters, and I'm not taking my kids to see my HBO series coming out next year. But it is such a joy to be able to do stuff that they can embrace, and stuff that is really like for 4 quadrants for everybody.
What kind of inspires you now? Because you mentioned your HBO series coming out. You also have Artemis Fowl coming out.
Yeah.
All your projects seem really different. And I mean, how important is that for you to kind of like
Beyond.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be typecast. I never want to be, oh, that's the guy who does X. You know, my new series for HBO was just such wish fulfillment for me because Armando Iannucci, who I think is one of the most brilliant creative minds alive right now.
Veep, In the Loop.
Created Veep, In the Loop. Death of Stalin, which I think is just brilliant. This is his follow-up to Veep, and it's a satirical comedy that takes place 40 years in the future, and it is unlike anything you guys have ever seen before, and that's going to premiere on HBO in January.
What's that called?
It's called Avenue 5. It's me and Hugh Laurie, Zach Woods, and an incredible cast.
I didn't realize Hugh Laurie was in it, and he was so good in Veep.
So freaking funny in this show.
So funny.
He's so good.
Comedically, what inspires you? Because that is a very specific brand of humor, what they do.
Comedically, what inspires me?
Yeah, because that seems like that would be really fun to dig into, that kind of like blunt
I feel
satirical humor.
blessed because I think I've worked with 3 of the greatest satirists of our time. I got my start on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, followed that up with Book of Mormon with Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and now completing the trifecta, working with Armando. It's like I get to pinch myself every day because I'm working with people who I think are just at the top of their game in terms of their approach to comedy. So they challenge me. They give me an amazing opportunity to get a peek behind the curtain at how they all operate, and I just feel like it's a gift. It's a privilege.
Comedically, who do you sort of learn the most from, either on this project or another project, but who do you sort of look at and they sort of capture your brand of humor that you like?
You know, everybody that I work with, I learn something more, right? Like I always take something away. Whether I did The Comedians with Billy Crystal and just got to soak him up, whether I had, you know, even when I'm not working, when I was living out here doing Book of Mormon, Robin Williams was living in my building and he was doing Bengal Tiger at the Baghdad Zoo. And we would have these conversations every day when we got home from work late at night. And we would just talk about comedy and about life. And like, you just learn. Sacha Baron Cohen is a friend. Like, you just kind of, you find something from everybody because you don't know everything. I barely know anything. I think I know what's funny. Many people disagree, but what I find is that as long as I'm true to myself and as long as I make an attempt at doing something that I would laugh at, that's the best I can do.
Yeah. I'm still on the fact that you lived in the same building as Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Wow. What a special experience that you had.
Incredible. And I'll tell you what really upsets me. He, at the end of his run, came up to me and gave me his bicycle. And I didn't accept it. As you can tell, I definitely didn't accept it. And I really regret that. I really wish that I had taken that gift. But I'm like, I'm never going to use a bicycle. What am I going to? And he was just such a beautiful, incredible man. I miss him every day.
But you know what? He offered you a bike, which honestly is just a beautiful story and gift that you have anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need the bike. It's hard to store a bike.
No,
in
I
New York
want
City.
that bike.
Okay. I'm trying to make you feel better about not taking the bike. We do have a question or two before we get out of here.
Sure.
Who has the mic first? Right here.
Hi. You're my favorite actor. I just wanted to say
You're
that.
so sweet. Thank you. You're my favorite person.
What was your favorite part about filming both of the Frozen movies?
My favorite part about filming both of the Frozen movies was what I talked about, that opportunity to play and to improv. Speaking of Robin Williams, I remember seeing Aladdin in the movie theaters and seeing his brilliant performance as the genie and turning to my mom when I was a little kid and saying, God, I want to do that one day. So to now get to play a character like Olaf, which is a comic relief, is just such a privilege. It's such a joy.
What does that feel like for you? Because in the theater, honestly, Olaf garners the most response from the kids. The biggest laughs. They just love the antics.
Yeah.
And you get to bring that character to life. Does that feel extra special?
Beyond.
Yeah.
Getting to see the response to kids and adults alike is just such a thrill. I come from the theater. I love theater. But you never get the same energy when you see a movie. So when you get to do a movie that generates applause and elicits laughter, it's the closest thing you get to that experience of sharing that energy with an audience.
So cool. We do have a question from Twitter. Edward is the man. What is your favorite Disney animated movie? That's a Sophie's choice.
Ooh, wow, that is not as, doesn't have as many repercussions as Sophie's Choice, but it's probably going to be Aladdin or Lion King. Both were so influential when I was a kid. Love them both. And Jungle Book, I love.
Amazing. I have to throw in one that is kind of not spoken of as much, but that I loved, Mulan.
I love Mulan.
I love
There's
Mulan.
a new Mulan
There's
coming
a new
out,
live
right?
action coming out. I'm going to see it. That was always kind of my stand.
Oh, I love it.
And
I
then
love Eddie Murphy as
discovered
Mushu.
Yentl and Barbara Streisand. It's like the same. I mean, it's like steep
that's
in there.
right.
I like it. One more.
Hey, Josh.
Hey.
First off, congratulations on the incredible box office weekend.
Thank
I saw
you.
it with my wife. It was really incredible. Whoever hasn't seen it, I don't know what's wrong with you. I just wanted to ask.
He's so pissed at everybody in here. It's like,
I know, right?
how
Like,
dare you?
Yeah, and you spoke about applause. That our whole entire theater was clapping.
Oh,
at the
good,
end
good,
of each
good,
song. So, I have a 1-year-old daughter, and there's very
Congrats.
few. Thank you. There's very few words that she can say. One of which is Olaf. She, every time it's even an ad on the screen, she jumps, roll off, roll off, roll off.
Oh my God!
freaks out.
Please tell me she also says Dada at least.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but on the totem pole of who she loves the most, it's probably Mama, Dada, then Olaf.
Okay, well
So
that's where he
congratulations.
belongs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to know what that means to you to have kids out there that are barely forming words because of how young they are, and they know your character and they know your songs.
I'll tell you what, it is. You can't put it into words. Like. I often take my kids to Disneyland. They love it. It's their favorite place to go on earth. And to see kids sipping out of an Olaf sippy cup, or to see them carrying an Olaf balloon, or to see them, literally wearing an Olaf costume is surreal. It is just like next level, kind of like you can't even imagine it. And I feel out of body because it's such a gift. It's something I put in the universe, and the universe rewarded me with it. And I'm so grateful every day. I never take it for granted. And I have 2 girls who are sick of me. So to hear that your child is saying Olaf makes me so happy, because my kids are like, we get it. We get it, Papa.
I mean, do we think that Olaf is the most famous snowman now, above Frosty even?
I would never say that.
No?
Do you think I want to get into like a full-on fist fight with Frosty? No way.
Bring it, Frosty.
No,
I don't
Frosty's
know.
got so many years on me. I stand you, Frost. I give you all my love.
All right, fair. Well, I stand Olaf. And if you guys do too, you can check him out. Josh, thank you for joining us. Frozen 2 is in theaters now. Go take your family over Thanksgiving weekend. I think it's a perfect thing to do.
Yes.
All right, put your hands together for Josh Gad.
Thank you, guys.